Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Akhtar,
So
go ahead.
apologies, I was planning to be there in person, but it did not happen. And my co-author, uh, Mikhail Oet, is there, and this is the presentation of work in progress. I work for the Comptroller of the Currency, so I have to have a disclaimer that the actual presentation does not represent the views of the Comptroller of the Currency or the U.S. Treasury. So this is, again, we have lots of overheads, so there's no way we can actually cover them in the time allotted. So I will fairly quickly. So this is basically looking at price discovery in the financial markets and the role of sentiment. Now, there are obviously, starting with actual market microstructure models, starting with the original one of Kyle 85, DeLong et al. 1990, Easley, O'Hara, you get actually different types of channels of actually traders who have asymmetric information. And the information varies in the informed traders and the other traders, as well as in most of the models, there are actually market makers. And so which says that basically different agents have different information. Now there is a parallel literature on sentiments in the financial markets and price discovery. So Barbaris Schleifer-Vishny 98 is an important one, which talked about how sentiments affect price discovery. Then there are other papers which draw a distinction between information and sentiment and how they interact. Now here in this paper, we are combining them. The idea that there are heterogeneous agents, so you have actually multiple channels, and sentiments in those channels can vary. So with that idea, we want to analyze how sentiment as extracted from basically textual data and how they affect the sentiments, and then how it then further affects the prices. So we scrape the information. We scrape article from a variety of financial news sources, which we then categorize into three channels. And apologies, because we had some discussion amongst ourselves as to how to classify these articles. So one set are actually casual, the other set are professional, and then in between you have essentially the mixed or mainstream. Okay, so and we also used three ways of actually computing the sentiment. We use bag of words, we have TF-IDF, and then we also use actually Finberg. And we attempt to capture the nuances of sentiment in these actually articles, and then each method out of the three provides a unique lens in which we can understand market sentiments, and then we can see how it varies over time. Of this, and in this example, we're using just one farm. We plan to extend it to multiple farms, and then how it links across them. So essentially our target for this NLP task is stock price data. And again, we apply a 3-day standardization rolling window to denoise the data and highlight trends. We also, of course, have to make sure that the information that the variables we're using happen to be stationary. So we also look at stationarity tests and granular causality, and we find some, sort of indications that there is granular causality between the sentiment and stock prices. We also use wavelet coherence plots to visualize the phase and the frequency dependent relationships. And in my haste to start this talk, I forgot to mention that we have 4 co-authors, out of whom one is in the room. I don't know if Paul is also in the room. I know that actually Mikhail is. Then we also have actually Thomas and actually Ankuran. I see Ankuran online. So please jump in to respond or to actually provide additional perspectives if I go astray. So our essential sort of beliefs, our sort of priors, is that the casual channels would be more volatile and be more responsive to sentiment trends, and it should mirror market. It should mirror the market sentiment because the sentiment in the casual channels would mirror the market sentiment better than the other channels. So if you think of animal spirits, this is the actual channel. And so we want to see how this drives, okay? And this channel, we expect to see more responsiveness. For the professional channel, we expect it to be more stable and more nuanced. And we expect it to have, given that it is based on, if we think of the heterogeneous agents model, this is more akin to the informed traders. So it is more likely to provide deeper insight and be not as responsive and be not as volatile, okay? And then we have the mixed channel, which is sort of in between, okay? And it may vary from one side to the other. Again, we expect this channel to capture the overall market sentiment, and it may have actually widespread impact. And then we look at, and at this point where we're actually looking at just one institution, actually Goldman Sachs, whose stock price is obtained from Yahoo Finance. We use actually Bag of Words, we use TF-IDF, and then we use actually Finbert. And the next one, we see that the average sentiment across the 3 channels, as we had said, as our prior was, in the casual channel, it is more volatile. You see more spikes, okay? And the actual professional is less so, the mix is less so, okay? So, averaging across the 3, you do see this, you do see results that appear to comport with what we had expected. Now, for the casual channel, again, the 3-day rolling average sentiments, again, they look, extremely volatile, okay? Actually, professional, again, volatile, but actually probably less, as we saw, less so. And the mixed channel, again, less so, compared to the actual casual channel. And then we are looking at sort of the stationarity and actual correlation. And those results appear to be more or less all over the place, in that even though most of them are actually positive as we had expected, but then you have the occasional, but the actual magnitudes do vary, and actually some of them are essentially pretty close to 0. And actually looking at augmented Dickey-Fuller test, we reject that any of the that any of the variables we use in this modeling are non-stationary. So this is for the casual channel. For the professional channel, if just visually, going from the casual to the professional, what stands out is that it is more red. It is much more actually correlated across the methods, right? Which is again something we sort of expected, that the three channels, okay, the three methods would be more in line with each other for the professional channel because it has less noise. It is less idiosyncratic. Again, the ADF tests reject that it is non-stationary. For the mixed one, again, it is mixed because now you start seeing some blues. I mean, some of the sentiment metrics are actually negatively correlated across the methods. Again, we reject that they are not stationary. Okay. Then looking at Granger causality tests. Okay. Again, looking at actually various lags. Okay. We do find that at least especially for the TF IDF, as well as actually Finbird, we tend to find that they are actually causal using the casual channel. Professional, they're again actually causal, but albeit with less, albeit with actually greater lags. Okay. We're still in the process of trying to actually figure that out. Okay. Oh, did somebody say something?
No. Keep going.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. And then the mixed channel is again, all over the place. Okay. And this is just presenting those same results in actually tabular format. Okay. So I will not, in the interest of time, I will not actually go through them. Okay. Then we're looking at wavelet coherence, and my apologies because the figures are small, especially with actually aging eyes. They become even smaller. So again, time is on the horizontal axis, and the actual vertical axis shows the frequency, and lower the frequency, higher is the scale, the actual frequency of the scale. And again, and the arrow and the actual warmer colors represent significant interval, while the colder colors show lower dependence. We do see lots of warmer colors, red, meaning that there is dependence, there is stronger correlation between the closing prices and the sentiments using the casual channels. Again, we have to explore them further. Professional channels show less so because you do see more blue other than for Finbird. Okay. And the mainstream or mixed channels, I had actually corrected it to mixed, but somehow I may be using an older version, of this actual presentation by mistake. But and then we look at the ARDL models. Okay, again, actually looking at again, it's another way of looking at the standardized stock price and the lags. again, the again, again, in some cases we find, I mean, that your standard errors are high, right? And the results show that, and using the ARDL 112-12-12, we find that 87% of the actually variation is explained by the actually sentiments when we look at bag of words. And when look at PF-IDF, it becomes less so, and it should, and again, using the using actually Finberg, the using the actually very last lag, 112-12-12. So again, it is consistent, okay? That is, the stock prices appear to be explained, especially for the three channels. I mean, there is more explainability at a longer lag. And when we are forecasting, okay, again, there is some power, not a whole lot, okay? Now, as I have said, our work currently is very, very preliminary, okay? And the quality and representativeness of the articles, will also impact the reliability of the findings. And we need to also start looking at more, better methods, especially methodological refinements, ensemble methods, or the use of, say, like actually LLMs, which should hopefully provide better insights. And instead of looking only at prices, we'd also probably look at other metrics like liquidity, such as your bid-ask spread or your volatility, and how they're affected by sentiments as well. And again, we used just one institution, but we would also want to look at actually multiple institutions, and how do the sentiments them vary, because one can definitely imagine that the actually sentiments, say, for a stock where you have a lot of retail investors, may be very different from stocks where you have a lot of institutional investors. So those types of features would drive how sentiments affect the prices, as well as how the sentiments across institutions are linked. That is looking at more or less the, trying to look at the network effects that that will exist within the actual sentiments, and how would they then go affect the prices. So the actual conclusion is that sentiment dynamics are very important, right? And we want to look at beyond the sort of quantitative data, because people in trying to understand risk in the financial markets have historically used almost entirely the actual quantitative data. They've used earnings, they've used revenues, etc. But sentiments have a role as well, and it should have an impact on how price is discovered and how actually risk is measured. So I'm at my 20 minutes point. and would like to express our sincere gratitude to the other individuals who played a significant role with actual research assistance. And also we want to thank the institutions for, we want to thank Northeastern University for the faculty fund grants. So again, thank you for this opportunity to present this fairly preliminary work.
Thank you.